Hello everyone, welcome to the latest episode. Today we dive into the sinister, shadowed and terrifying world of Phyrexia, All Will Be One. To explore this, I have created a Dimir toxic Phyrexian deck featuring animals transformed into those horrendous Phyrexians. I must say, I really like the set. For me, this is what Magic defines, being gritty, horror themed, featuring some degenerated alien creatures and the dark theme of course. My first deck back then was Mirrodin and I love this dark theme about those Phyrexians. For me, this feels like quite a remake of those iconic creatures. So the strategy of this deck is quite simple and therefore the mana base is also pretty low. We are playing a toxic Phyrexian deck, which means we don't aim to kill the opponent through life points. No, we want to infest the opponent by dealing 10 toxic damage, each equal to 1 poison counter. The opponent will die or implode from poison. This deck contains a lot of small creatures, so we are very fast. I like the balance between flying and non-flying creatures in this deck, allowing us to attack from above even when the opponent has big creatures on the battlefield. We have some removal spells, counter spells and some spells with Proliferate, so the opponent receives an additional poison counter when they already have one. What I really like is that not only do we have creatures with toxic, but also many of our instant spells have Proliferate or give the opponent a poison counter when we cast them. This makes the deck very competitive. So let's take a closer look at the creatures. For 1 mana we have a small but effective creature, it's Bilious Skull Dweller, because of Death Touch, which will keep the big creatures away from us, and it also has Toxic 1. Then we have our Pestilent Siphoner. The only difference between this and the prior creature is that this creature has flying. It's important to deal at least 1 damage with toxic early on the start, giving poison counters to the opponent. So therefore we have our Thrumming Bird, a flying creature with Proliferate, and as soon as the opponent has a poison counter on it, it counts like toxic. Then we have also White Wing Hybrid, who is one of my favorite cards in this deck. Because whenever we Proliferate, we can return this creature back from the graveyard to our hand, and it has also Toxic 1 and Flying. Then we have Venser Corpse Puppet. Yeah, it's not the most stunning creature, but it fits to the theme. Combined with cards that have Proliferate, we can decide either we create a legendary 3/3 Phyrexian Golem token creature, or target artifact creature gets lifelink and flying. So basically we can target the Golem token or the Phyrexian Might with Toxic, which we can create thanks to the Mirex here. So then we have also our Blight Belly Rat for 2 mana. It's a 2/2 toxic creature and also with Proliferate. When it dies, for me this creature can be very aggressive, but it's also the ideal blocker. During the game we can easily sacrifice this creature and it will trigger Proliferate. And mostly when we already gave the opponent 7 poison counters, it's a difficult situation for them. We don't necessarily must attack, we can also lean back and wait for cards with Proliferate and giving the opponent poison counters that way. Our last creature is Tactile Inquiry Dominus. Somehow it reminds me of Cthulhu. It's also like that terrifying creature, a Phyrexian horror with flying. If we would proliferate twice instead. So those were the creatures, and let's move on to the instant spells. We have 1 counter spell, it's Reject Imperfection, and if we counter a spell with mana value 3 or less, it also proliferates. With Prologue of 2 Phrases, we can, each opponent gets a poison counter and we draw a card. We have 2 removal cards. We have Vraska's Fall, where the opponent must sacrifice a creature or a planeswalker and they get also a poison counter. The other one is Shieldred's Addict, one of the most played removal cards in MTG Arena. Here we can decide among 3 things. The opponent sacrifices a creature or token creature or a planeswalker. So let's move on to the enchantments. We have here Phyrexian Arena for 3 mana, which is great for card drawing because our mana curve is pretty low. We run out of cards quickly, so it can be very useful to draw more cards and poison our opponent even faster. Then we have also Necrogen Communion, can be very effective because it gives the creature Toxic 2, and if the creature dies, we can return it back to the battlefield. I like to attach it mostly to the flying creatures or to the red, so we can proliferate twice. We have 1 planeswalker, Vraska, Betrayal Stink. Yeah, it's very expensive, therefore we will not cast it that often. It costs like actually 5 mana or 6 mana. We can also pay life for that. And yeah, basically only the first abilities may be important. You draw a card and you lose 1 life, and proliferate. so I guess that's it. We have in total 21 lands, and this is enough. We have 7 islands, 9 swamps. We have also 1 surgical bay, and also 1 the dross pits. So we can sacrifice those land cards and we can draw a card. With Mirex we can also create some Phyrexian mites with Toxic 1. So as I said at the beginning, we can also use Venser Corpse Puppet and combine it with Mirex, so those creatures will get flying. What else? Yeah, in my sideboard we have here only Nimraiser Paladin, 1 copy, Toxic 2. When this creature enters the battlefield, return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to your hand. So I would just recommend it to maybe exchange it with Vraska, Betrayal Stink, because those are the 2 cards with 5 mana. So either this, the Planeswalker, or the creature. You can always decide. So yeah, this is the deck, and yeah, let's play some games.